Hi, welcome back to Curry Soap. So today we're going to be talking about the sense of hearing and what happens if you lose them. Now, I want you to take a moment and listen to your surrounding. Imagine the symphony and the cacophony of these sounds suddenly disappear. You are now deaf and you can't hear anything. In my opinion, the sense of hearing makes my life much richer. I can hear the chatter of people in the coffee shop. I can hear the laughter of my friends when I'm having fun with them. I can hear children playing outside in the evening. And I also can listen to music on Spotify. I can hear the sound of crickets on a very quiet night. And I also can hear the sound of rain droplets on my roof. I also can hear the sound of busy traffic when I'm on the highway. Now, the sense of hearing is something most of us take for granted most of the time. In many cases, we might miss a few words, like when we're on a phone call with a friend and when we're watching a video and halfway through it we don't even know what's going on in the video anymore. Or remember the time when we do our chores and we leave the TV on so that we can listen to our favorite episode of our drama, and once we're finished doing our chores we don't even know what happened in the episode. And to these little things we paid no second attention to it at all. For you to imagine a life without sound is like watching a movie without any sound. Imagine watching the Avengers without any sound at all, without the sound effect, the effects of the magic or disability, or Iron Man opening up his suit, or Captain America's shield. And when you go to the night street market and you saw a few people busking up the roadside, you go there and walk and see what they're doing and you can't hear what they are playing. Imagine going through your life every day without sound. Imagine what it would do. Because you socialize with your friends and families. You go to your workplace, you socialize with your colleagues. Not everyone is Charlie Chaplin, where you can know what they mean and what they are doing just by their facial gestures and body movement also. Research has shown that people who has gone deaf experience emotions like worrying all the time, sometimes sad, and even lonely at some times. To me, it's like you are there, but you are not there in the moment. Now, let me quote a very famous 20th century activist and educator, Helen Keller. If you don't already know who Helen Keller is, I suggest you go and Google her, and you would find out that she is both deaf and blind. And she said one thing: blindness cuts us off from things, but deafness cuts us off from people. There are a few causes for deafness or hearing impairment, and one of which is brain fever, which we now know as encephalitis, which is the inflammation of brain tissues. The second one would be meningococcal meningitis, which is the inflammation of the meninges of the brain, which is what most doctors around the world believe to be what happened to Helen Keller, which robbed her of her sense of sight and hearing. It could also be just a normal ear infection that impaired your hearing, and it might be temporary, or it's a fluid built up from behind your eardrum. Now, we mustn't also forget something age associated, which is something called presbycusis. It's a condition where as the person grows older, the person's sense of hearing goes impaired throughout time as well. This final one is long exposure to loud environments. If you are a contractor and you are around heavy machineries every day, all day, you'll keep hearing these grinding of concrete, these heavy machines pumping up and down, the thumping, all the sound, the loud noises. And long exposure to these sounds every day throughout the day might actually impair your hearing. And not to mention also concerts. If you are someone who always go to concerts and you listen to loud sounds all the time, it might impair your hearing also. The last one is headphones, which is the most common culprit of hearing impairment throughout the world, because hearing audio at a high volume level coming from a headphone would actually impair your hearing. Let's move on to the dangers of losing your sense of hearing. As we all know, we are more likely to hear potential threat coming to us before we even see it, correct? I give you an example, like crossing the roads. Let's say you have your phone with you and you're looking at your phone screen while you're crossing the road and you're paying no attention at all to the traffic, and suddenly this car is coming at you. Of course the person will honk at you, and then the first thing you do is stop and jump back or forward, or some people maybe even stop to look like that. You hear before you see. Let's say one night you are sleeping and your smoke alarm goes off and you wake up. You know that your house is on fire, or there's at least some smoke in your house. When you are driving, now this is the same one as crossing the road earlier. It's actually the same thing. You're driving, and then let's say you are going through a train bypass. You're supposed to stop when the railing comes down and the sound of the bell tells you that. Let's say one day you're walking in a very dark alley and you hear people running from behind. Wouldn't it be the first thing that you do is that you run also? This is very unlikely, but what if there is an explosion behind you? You won't even know that there is an explosion because you might mistake it for just a normal gust of wind coming from behind. Now, I don't know which senses you think are important to you, because everyone has their own opinion, and which senses you think that are important might be related more towards your lifestyle, and it could be your occupation, so maybe that's why you choose which sense is more important to you. But do know this, all of our 5 senses coincide with each other so that we get to have the experience that we have now in our life. You watching this video now, or later you're going to the movies, you're going to watch a football match in a football stadium, you're going to a concert later, you're going to sing karaoke with your friends. I think it's very unfortunate for people who even lose even one of their senses. But not all hope is lost. Look at how Helen Keller lived her life. She found her direction, and along the way she inspired so many people, and she's contributed so much to this world, to people who have hearing impairment or any other disabilities, and being someone who is both deaf and blind. So it is as Stephen Hawking once said, we can all be good and successful at something. So what do you think about the video? If you like the content, hit the like button and smash the subscribe button, and share it among your friends and families. I urge you not to take your senses for granted and be more appreciative of it. And not to forget also, we must also empathize on people who have these disabilities. It might be someone you know or someone you might meet later on in your life. Until I hear from you again, see ya.